Yo, what's going on YouTube? I appreciate you guys tuning into another one of Team Core's videos. If you guys have never seen a video on this channel featuring me before, my name is Rewind. I'm a pro Mortal Kombat player and content creator for Team Core. And we got an interesting topic today. A couple of people, well, I'm not gonna say a couple, quite a few amount of people have been interested in my opinion on Evo removing Mortal Kombat from the Evo 2025 France's lineup. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't remember or not if Evo actually even had Mortal Kombat 1 in the France lineup to begin with. But today I'm going to talk a bit about my opinion on just the game in general not being on the France lineup in 2025. So as far as my personal history at Evo, I've won Evo 2018 for Injustice 2. I got 9th at Evo 2019. Pandemic hit, and then I got second place at Evo 2022. And then I got top 8 back-to-back years at 23 and 24. So I'm a 4-time Evo finalist and a 1-time Evo champion. So not seeing Mortal Kombat at Evo France definitely hurts just a little bit, It doesn't hurt as much as if Evo Vegas didn't have it, but it does hurt a bit because, you know, it would have been a great reason to have me go to France. You know, I've personally never even been to, I'm not sure if Ireland counts as the EU. I've been to Ireland, but as far as, you know, France in general, just period France, I've never been to France. So it would have been nice to go to France, and there's a hell of a scene over there in EU, and this definitely would have been the perfect time to get some offline matches with that region, because unless they're coming over to Vegas, you know, most of the time we're not getting any type of practice in a non-online environment. So yeah, in that aspect, it does hurt to not see it, because it just would have been one more opportunity to go finesse another Evo medal or perhaps a Evo championship. All right, so as you can see here, we have the lineup for Evo 2025 in France, and we got obviously Street Fighter, Tekken 8, Guilty Gear, Dragon Ball, Grand Blue, and Fatal Fury. It's a pretty solid lineup. I feel like if any games in that lineup could get removed and replaced by MK, it would have to probably be, in my opinion, Dragon Ball. Out of all those games, I would say Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball is very popular in France, so I can't necessarily say that would be the biggest W recommendation. That's just me being, you know, a Mortal Kombat player, I guess, but it's pretty big in France and that's widely known. So if it wasn't Dragon Ball, I would say Grand Blue. I feel like those are the only two games that I can see having a little bit of wiggle room as far as a game that would most likely take the boot for MK. Fatal Fury is a new game, so I can't speak too much on like how big Fatal Fury is. You know, I don't have the biggest knowledge of the game like that, but I know it's new. But as far as, you know, my opinion on maybe why I think MK1 might not be featured at Evo France, maybe it's because of there being no Pro Tour announcement. Obviously, not having a Pro Tour for your game really does hurt tournaments wanting to have them, because, you know, if there's titles just as big, if not bigger, that have Pro Tours going on for them, and you can possibly have a stop at your event for that tour, you know, that's gonna warrant more players to want to show up, considering you know, your tournament's a Pro Tour stop. So obviously not having a Pro Tour hurts, because I'm pretty sure if, you know, say we had a Pro Tour and Evo France was made one of the stops on the tour, you know, to accumulate points to qualify for the World Finals and such, then, you know, Evo France would make, you know, probably make a lot of sense to them to have our game, because that means a lot of people are going to be hunting for those points, you know, for qualification. So, you know, obviously not having a Pro Tour really hurts. You know, there's a lot of negativity surrounding the game as far as, you know, how unfinished it's came off since its release in September of 23, my bad. Yeah, a lot of opinions, including mine, of it, you know, not being finished. A lot of games on release had a lot of things from the jump of release that I feel like a modern fighting game should have. MK was missing a lot, and they had to implement and add things that really should have been in it from the beginning over time, you know, and a lot of people are impatient that, you know, you're going to lose a lot of players due to that. So I think, you know, a lot of the negativity and the no Pro Tour announcement, it has a pretty big deal as far as why we're probably not in the lineup to begin with. As far as, you know, how does that necessarily affect Mortal Kombat players? You know, it may affect the European players more than anything, because that's finally a tournament in, you know, their region that they can go to, you know, because Evo has notoriously always been in Vegas. So that's a long journey for anybody from, the EU or the UK or anything like that. So, that would have been perfect for players who are over there to want to, go. Evo is supposed to be the Super Bowl of fighting games, but they're increasing their locations. So for anybody who doesn't know, Evo has notoriously only been for like 20 plus years in one location. They've been in Las Vegas for the most part, from most of its, since its origin. And then they added Evo Japan. I forgot what year Evo Japan. I think it might have been 2019. They added Evo Japan, and then they're now adding France, and I believe they're adding another location. No, I think it's just that. I think it's just France. So I think it's France, Japan, and Vegas. And and Vegas is always notoriously kind of meant more than Japan's Evo. That doesn't mean the skill is necessarily better than Japan's Evo, but it's more so just because Evo in Vegas is typically just on a larger scale as far as venue, attendance, everything pretty much. And yeah, so as far as how it affects Mortal Kombat players, I would say it affects the EU scene more than anything. But I mean, we probably are going to be at Evo Vegas. Now, if our game isn't at Evo Las Vegas, that would be more of a hit to, I feel, me and Mortal Kombat players in general than it not being at France. It not being at France doesn't necessarily mean it won't be at Vegas. Possibly around the time that Evo Vegas comes around, possibly the Pro Tour might actually be announced. So, it's not seeing at France. It's not a big deal to me. I mean, it's never been at Evo Japan for one, and nobody has ever talked about how it bothers us that it's not at Japan. I mean, our game, I believe, is banned in Asia, so that's probably a big one. But not seeing it in the France lineup doesn't necessarily mean it's not in the Vegas lineup. Now, if it's not in the Vegas lineup, like I said, that is actually a bigger conversation than it not being at France. But I'm speaking on this in general because it's been a big topic lately in general. But as far as, maybe some things that I think that would help them get into maybe Evo 2026 France would probably be having a Pro Tour. Having a Pro Tour is a pretty big deal nowadays, considering, teams want a piece of the pie, and they want to pick up the best. And not having a Pro Tour kind of puts a big question mark over whether MK is worth investing into from a player side perspective and a team. So not having that Pro Tour, man, it's probably the biggest reason why, they're not in the lineup. But as far as it being removed from the lineup, I can't honestly confirm. Like I said, if I don't even remember if it was in the lineup to begin with, to be honest. Maybe it got moved for Fatal Fury when Fatal Fury got announced. I don't know. I just haven't necessarily been keeping up with Evo France. But yeah, as far as, what does this mean for me as far as does this make me want to play other games? Games that are typically in the lineup every time, no question, such as Street Fighter, Tekken, Guilty Gear. Seems like those games, as far as in the fighting game community, have been the big three and the new big three. It's usually been Tekken, Street Fighter, and Mortal Kombat, but Guilty Gear has taken a new leap of popularity, it seems, with Strive, because I personally wasn't hearing all this chatter about Guilty Gear when I was coming up in the scene back in 2016, 17. Guilty Gear, I don't really know what happened and how out of nowhere they just became a top 3 game, but props to them, man. They have a really solid big community and they pull in huge numbers every single tournament, especially every Evo. Impressive numbers. It's actually impressive. But yeah, man, obviously entrance is a big deal. You're not gonna have a lot of entrants if players don't feel like the events that are hosting Mortal Kombat are worth spending thousands of dollars to go to. So a lot of people will sit here and say, yeah, the game is in a dying state because of the player base. No, we're in a weird, I wouldn't even say dying, we're in a weird period because of the developers. If the developers aren't doing their due diligence on making the players feel like the tournaments are worth attending by, contributing prize pools and LC Pro Tour, proper advertising and all that, then, players aren't going to want to spend their hard-earned money, and teams that sponsor players aren't going to want to do so either. So obviously the entrants are going to take a hit if there's no money to go try to fight for. At the end of the day, money is what makes the world go round, man. And at least that's why I personally, I'm fully sponsored and everything, and I still won't go to an event if I feel like it's not worth it, because I also have a job, I have bills to pay, I'm not gonna miss, you know, 4 days or 3 days of work to go to an event, you know. And now my check short 3 or 4 days and I went to an event for no money. I'm just not gonna do that. That's not a responsible thing to do. And you know, unless I'm treating it as a pure vacation, you know what I'm saying? Because the only time something small like that's worth going to, you know, is if you win it. And if you don't win it, then even getting second is nothing. You know, I got second at CEO 2024 and got like $200 or something like that. I don't even remember what I got. It was nothing worth like freaking out over, you know, and that was second place. You know, first place didn't get that much more, I'm gonna be honest with you. But yeah, man, having a pro tour is probably the first thing that would help make MK super relevant again, and it would also make the player base have something to grind for, and it would make you know, everybody, teams, players have an idea of how do we strategize getting to these events, because you know, we gotta know it well in advance what the tour is gonna look like. We gotta know dates and everything so that I can, for people with jobs and stuff, can put in days off. And you know, sometimes people forget, man, these pro players that you see, including like myself, you know, sometimes not all of them, this is not what we do 24/7 behind the camera, or like people may think because of our skill level. You know, sometimes we gotta have jobs. You know, we're normal people just like everybody else, unless you're like Sonic Fox, who's been dominating for 13 years or something like this, like 12 straight years, winning everything. Not everybody's balling like that. So yeah, man, once NetherRealm Studios and Warner Brothers get their stuff together and, you know, announce something that gets us all excited again, you know, I'm pretty sure MK will be in a lot of lineups. There'll be a lot of tournaments. So I'm not, as far as it not being in the Evo France lineup, I'm not too worried about it. You know, I personally think if it was my, like, if it was possible to make this happen, I think the best way to have the tour start would be to have it start at Combo Breaker, like it's always started in MK11 and Injustice 2. It started at Combo Breaker. I can't speak for MKX because I wasn't competing at that time, but start at Combo Breaker. You know, it's one of the big three, and then CEO, you know, big three, and then Evo Vegas. And then, you know, anything after that, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Take your, you know, pick your poison. But you gotta have those first 3 big tournaments on the lineup. Any developer putting out a pro tour for their game, organizing and structuring a pro tour with tournaments on the circuit worldwide, if you don't have CEO, Breaker, Evo, you're absolutely trolling, because those tournaments pulling the most views. So, you know, these companies, they have millions of employees, billions of dollars. It does disappoint me that we can't, there's not one person on that squad can develop a structure, timing pot that makes sense. But you know, hopefully we figure it out at some point. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I was just diving in a little bit about you know, first off, the game is not at Evo. Big deal, you know, if it ain't Evo Vegas, holla at me. But you know, this is just a little video about, you know, MK not being at Evo France 2025. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. This won't be the last video that I put out on Team Core's channel. But till next time, guys, hope you guys have a blessed one.